Main event, right? Let's talk about the main event. Usman and Edwards. The trifecta, right? The third fight. First fight, Usman destroys him, takes him down a bunch of times, has a bunch of not writing time with MCAA's writing time, has a bunch of top control. Doesn't finish the fight, top control. Second fight, Edwards stops more of the shots, still gets out wrestled a little bit, doesn't really take any big punches, and then ends up landing a late head kick, KO knockout. Awesome. Kind of a fluke, I think it felt a little bit for a lot of people. And then this next fight, I did not have Edwards winning. I didn't have him winning the fight. He was landing punches, but again, it's damage, whatever damage, what the frick is damage? Define it. Define damage. Define it so that we can see it and everybody can recognize it the second we see it. It didn't look like he was doing any damage. He was active and landing some punches. Every once in a while he got a knee or something through, but Usman had ring control. He did have takedowns, not as many as the first fight, but it doesn't really matter, right? It's about that fight. It's not about the previous fight. He took him down. He was controlling him in that fight. He put him into the fence a lot, controlled the fence a lot, and he did land some big right hands that looked like they stunned Edwards a little bit. That made him pause just for a second. I didn't see anything like that from Edwards. I didn't see anything that did damage or look like it slowed him down or hurt him or made him change his style of fighting the whole time. I do get the concept of you gotta beat the champ. From that standpoint, maybe, yeah, okay, Usman didn't outperform Edwards to that level where he's beating the champ, but I still think he was winning that fight for most of the time. I don't think Edwards was doing any significant damage in that fight at all. Usman didn't slow down. He kept the pressure up. He might not have had as dominant of a performance of their first fight, but I don't think he lost that fight. And I was rooting for Edwards. I was rooting for Edwards the last fight, rooting for Edwards this fight. I'm not a Usman stan. I think he's very dull and dry and doesn't do enough ground and pound when he does get the takedowns. I don't think he has enough output on the ground, but I think he won the fight. I think he won. And then I think the fix was kind of in. I think the promoter and all their people were heavily pushed on, we need Edwards to win. We want Edwards to win, because even the announcers, it was so biased towards Edwards. It was unbelievably biased. And it was so biased that it wasn't just me noticing. Gaethje noticed too. Right, rips Michael Bisping at UFC 286 main event commentary for Leon Edwards. Gaethje is not happy not only with how the main event was judged, but also with the way it was called on the broadcast. The former UFC interim lightweight champion thought his friend and teammate Cameron Usman did enough to beat British champion Leon Edwards in their trilogy bout. Despite disagreeing with the majority decision for Edwards, Gaethje said he understands his bias, but also thinks the same for Michael Bisping, who called the fights alongside John Anik and Daniel Cormier. Gaethje says, I thought Usman won the fight, but I'm probably as biased as the judges. I'm certainly not as biased as Michael Bisping. He shouldn't have been anywhere near a microphone during that fight. Yeah, it sucks. We have a major problem in the sport. It's not a sport, and the journalists and the commentators are not independent people. They're PR. They work PR for the promotion. They do what the promotion tells them to do, and they push who they're supposed to push. I've said this a number of times. The commentating sounds like if you were playing a video game. I mean, there's an old boxing game I remember, and you could pick a nickname, and the announcers would say your nickname, and there was some plugged in like things programmed in that they would say, well, Night Stalker is really throwing that right hand in his round. Or it was just always the same, like whatever. And they would just pull whatever nickname you chose and put it in and out. That's what the announcing feels like from these people. It sounds like they're saying some written script nonsense, and they just plug in like ad libs. They just plug in whatever fighter's name for it. And it sounds like it's all the same thing at the same fighters, or they're same thing they're saying with different fighters, changing the name, but everything else is the same. And it's gross. It's gross. That's why I love Chris Lytle and bare knuckle fighting. Chris Lytle, he calls it as he sees it. I love it. I love it. He is the best play-by-play, best announcer, hands down. Anybody in the business right now. Everybody else is just trying to make it about them or trying to sell you something. Just tell me what's happening. Tell me what you see from an analytical point of view. I don't need you hyping this crap up. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. So I think Gaethje's 100% right. He's 100% right.